Ronnie Adams is gonna like go talk to somebody else and be like every fucking Monday night between Jesse and Mark. I'm so sick of it. I just want to talk about comics.
I'm okay. I'm just glad y'all aren't scheduling anything.
We wait till the end of the show to do that.
No, I'm good. I'm good with the schedule for now.
That's our midnight delight. We still stay on here a couple hours extra.
Ronnie, you think this is bad, dude? I'm like Saturday night, like I'm driving home. Hey, Jesse, Black Lightning is starting on the CW. What are we doing about it? I don't leave Jesse alone anymore. I don't leave Jesse alone.
Well, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, my daughter. Okay, I've complained already on the Metal Hammer of Doom about these cords that she keeps unplugging and all this crap. Well, over the weekend. We're sitting here and we'll get a text and Kira goes, I think I broke the computer. Okay. Well, that requires immediate attention. So I come down the stairs and she was playing some kind of online game or something. Okay. Now the resolution on my computer cannot be changed. I spent at least an hour trying to figure out how to change the resolution on my computer because it's not... It's stuck at a resolution for a 19-inch monitor versus a 22-inch monitor. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you might think to yourself, well, that's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I can see everything, I guess, except I have to scroll over on stuff. This is not the way this computer is supposed to look. So every week, it's like something new. I'm really afraid of what's going to happen next. I'm going to come down here and, like, you know, the printer's going to be in 2 pieces. Or, oh, Dad, I'm sorry about the radio that dropped on the floor. Yeah, that cup holder that sticks out of the computer broke off. Wait a second, that was the CD drive.
I was like, cup holder? Where did you get your fancy schmancy computer?
Jesse, did you see my family photos?
I think I saw one, if I remember correctly.
I saw them. Your Slayer sweater is the best.
Yeah.
Oh.
my Slayer's Christmas sweater.
Let me see. Yeah, I was perusing through Facebook there earlier. Let me take a look here. I want to see the sweater because I know you'd mentioned it. And I've got them here. Okay, there we go. Nice. Nice, very nice.
Hey, I want to send you guys. I'm going to send you guys one.
There we go. That's a good one right there. That's a good one of the kids.
There you go.
Is the oh no, that's not the same one I'm looking at. I'm looking at.
Devil.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got the one I was looking at. You were actually not throwing the horns.
Yep, throwing the horns.
That was the funny thing. I threw the horns up in a bunch of photos, and my wife was like, "Would you please stop throwing horns up? Can we do one without the horns?
Can we do one that we can send to the Christian families?" All right. All right. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to rock and roll. It's 9:33. We've been on here chewing the fat for half an hour. And sorry, I'm flip-flopping around here. Let's go. Okay. Tonight we are discussing are we synergizing with, I know that hold on. Let me get it out here.
Easy, buddy.
This is
what is happening here?
This is
Jesse's having a stroke.
And I have those every once in a while. Okay, are we doing?
Once in a while, you check.
Are we doing TV party tonight on the Punisher series this week?
Okay, well, that all depends. What is this week?
Schedule.
Oh, that's right. We're doing it next week. Okay, hold on. I should go to the schedule. Jesse, you have access to the calendar just like I do. You see it every time.
Jesse.
I want to.
If you're listening, if you're listening to this podcast live on YouTube, then it's next week. Is we're synergizing this podcast with the Punisher. If you're listening to this on Monday, the
Still,
4th, I
God
think
help
it
your
is.
soul.
December. Shut up, you. December 4th. Then tomorrow is our Punisher show from Netflix.
Okay. Now, so yeah, I forgot that we're doing this. We're recording this a week in advance to release on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. So yes, 12/5, Tuesday, December 5th.
Because recording it is something new we do.
Apparently, yeah, and I it's not like I sit here and edit as well for 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours during the weekend.
I long for your gag reel.
As long as you don't gag for my long reel, I guess we'll be okay.
Sweet
God.
No.
Oh, God, it's the Metal Hammer of Doom all over again.
Yeah.
Listen, I will compliment you guys on the Metal Hammer of Doom because I actually, I don't know if you'll take this as a compliment.
What did you listen to, Ronnie Adams? Oh, my gosh.
I found a hair metal playlist and immediately turned it. I mean, like, I turned the show off just to listen to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was like, it put me in such a nostalgic mood. I was like, man, this is awesome.
I listened to the Poison show.
Yeah.
Look what the cat dragged in.
Our show was so good, you turned it off. Terrific.
Well, I finished it later.
It's like, screw this. I want to listen to music.
Your show is so good, I couldn't take listening to it any longer. It was too much.
We do like to promote the albums, but not, at least finish the show first, Ronnie. Jeez. It's not like
I'm not telling you all anything ever again.
Ronnie Adams does a Thor Ragnarok review, and I turn it off in the middle of it and go watch the movie. It was like, screw this.
Well, yeah, because normally we just
do we?
The heck out of everything. You know what?
All right, now let's get this party started. All right. So this evening we are discussing a book that came out in April of 2000, Punisher, the Marvel Knights series, written by Garth Ennis and drawn by Steve Dillon. And I believe the first issue is titled "Welcome Back, Frank." I don't know. Is that what the trade is called, Mark? Or does
it's called Welcome Back, Frank. You didn't introduce anybody.
I didn't. I'm going to in just a second.
I can't work like this.
Okay.
I'm editing. I'm editing in the intros later.
I was gonna say, like, this is gonna be some weird editing you're doing.
I'm copying and pasting the intros from last week into this week. Like,
we've got a Ronnie Adams. Welcome, everyone, as we discuss The Oath by Doctor Strange. Here's Ronnie Adams.
I really like the Punisher.
All right, Ronnie Adams, how you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm just peachy keen.
Oh, that's good to hear. Good to hear. Mark Radulich, so everybody knows what your voice sounds like. How you doing this evening?
I have nothing to complain about. Life is wonderful.
Yeah, he's not right. He's not telling the truth.
Facetious.
Let's talk about this book here, because we Mark, I assume this was just a grab bag. This wasn't something that we really put a whole lot of thought into to discuss, or was there a method behind the madness as to why we chose Welcome Back, Frank, to discuss tonight?
Well,
there
was a method to my madness. From what I was under the impression, and I think I've been proven wrong about this. I think Welcome Back, Frank was more. There was stuff gleaned from Welcome Back, Frank that was used in Daredevil season 2. Not necessarily the Punisher series on Netflix. I thought that the Punisher series on Netflix was going to draw more from Welcome Back, Frank. And that's what I thought I had read. Mm-hmm. But upon reading the book, actually the closest any representation of the Punisher in movies or television was the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane.
Mm-hmm.
God help us all.
That draws directly from it for the most part. But yeah, the whole idea behind doing Welcome Back, Frank was it was supposed to be it's been parts of it have been used in other mediums where they did stuff with the Punisher. So I thought, okay, well let's get it read. It also came very well recommended. It's one of the best Punisher series out there. Yeah,
this was something that I think I caught the second volume of. Well, I say second volume, but this was. Man, I don't know what volume this was. It was a 2000 Marvel Knights series. Usually if you look at Punisher and you crack open the inside, down at the bottom where they give the credits, they'll tell you like Punisher volume, whatever. Maybe this was just known as Punisher Marvel Knights. I can't remember or recall. But I can tell you, there's a series that occurs after this, because this is just a 12-issue contained series. And then they did another one, the Punisher. I don't know if it might have been the Max series. And again, it's Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon continuing. I don't know if it continues the story, but I remember starting that one, got that one from the library and read it. I don't think I've read this one until this past week. So this is the first time I've gotten into it. If I did, I completely forgot about it, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because there's so much that's, just like Mark said, that's pulled from this book and used in the movie. I would have been like, oh yeah, that's where that's from. So I can't rightly recall ever reading this prior to this. Now, Ronnie, you said you have read this a few times, right?
Yeah, I've read it several times.
This is a trade you own?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give me an idea as to why you enjoy this one or why you've read this one so much?
I own it.
Okay.
No.
I must read what I own.
No, it was just as fun as the Punisher can be. It's a fun storyline because it doesn't really stick with the gritty street level. It does, but it doesn't in some parts. And I just really enjoy Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon's work on the Punisher period. Mm-hmm. So this came after reading some of their other stuff. So it was just one of those. It's a good story. I mean, it's just a good story.
Yeah, Garth Ennis, when they brought him into the fold and told him,
man, they broke the mold.
They said, hey, you're going to take over the Punisher. Now, Garth had a long run on Preacher, which is a fantastic book. I still have yet to finish it, but my goodness, there's some great – that book had me hooked. I think I went through about 70 issues, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe about 60 issues. And I haven't completed the series, but it was a very good series, especially the beginning of Preacher. So him getting a hold of a Marvel property, especially the Punisher, if you have read much of what happened in the Preacher, if you could expect that to happen in the Punisher, you could see where the parallels were. There's some goofy, over-the-top gore and violence sometimes. Mm-hmm. That happened in the Preacher. The only thing I have to reference there is Arseface. That is, I think that's the complete prime example of Garth Ennis creating a character that is almost lovable but horrible to look at. And his tag team partner, I would say, because these guys were together through Preacher as well, Steve mm-hmm. Dillon. Steve Dillon did pass away last year. He was a very pronounced comic book artist. And actually, if you go back, I was just looking this up there. I think it was November of last year, me and Benjamin J. Colon did a podcast, or at least a short discussion about Steve Dillon's career and what he had done. But again, one of the things that came up, I'm referencing Preacher again, but Arseface. Garth Ennis could tell you, hey, I want you to draw a character who put a gun in his mouth, pulled the trigger, and lived. So that's fine and dandy, but you've got to find a great artist to put that to paper. And Steve Dillon did a great job of being able to interpret Garth Ennis's vision on most of what we saw in Preacher. So here we have this team coming to the Punisher in 2000. So that's, if you read Preacher, you kind of knew what we was going to what we had in store here. So our story we're going to talk about is called Welcome Back, Frank. I'm going to do things a little bit different tonight. It's maybe similar to Justice League Darkseid War. I don't think it's going to be as as chaotic, I guess we'll say, because that didn't have too much. If there was a structure there, it's barely seen. But I'm going to give a quick synopsis, and then I think what we'll do is we'll go down through the characters. We'll talk about some of their roles in the book, what we thought of the characters, and then we'll discuss our favorite scene / story arc throughout the series. You know, we got 12 issues here. But it's not too overreaching. Okay, it's pretty simple. So the synopsis is going to cover a lot of what happened, and then we'll go into details of some of the things, give our overall thoughts on the book itself, and then we're out of here. So before I continue and do the synopsis, Mark, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm going through like the Punisher books now, and other than like Circle of Blood and some other ones.
First one done right here on the Source Material podcast. That was episode number 1, as a matter of fact.
A lot of these are just collections. There's not a whole lot that's a self-contained story, other than Welcome Back, Frank, at least as you know, self-contained in one trade. So, you know, I think there's a handful here, but not a lot. But I think we chose one of the best ones really to talk about tonight.
Yeah. This is a fun one. So, Ronnie, anything to add before I do the synopsis?
No, if you have never read anything by Ennis and illustrated by
Steve Dillon.
What's his name? Steve Dillon. Good Lord.
I got you.
Thank you. Then you are obviously missing out. Yes. And you wouldn't guess that by me fumbling over words and
well,
being a complete idiot.
Let me just tell you real quick. I kind of copied over some accolades that Garth Ennis had. He won the 1998 Eisner Award for Best Writer on Hitman, Preacher, Unknown Soldier, and Blood Mary or Bloody Mary, Lady Liberty, something like that. 1998 Eisner Award for Best Single Issue for Hitman number 34, and 1999 Eagle Award winner for favorite color comic book, which was Preacher. Also, if you can get your hands on it, which I think I have a copy, Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon. No, it's just Garth Ennis. I'm sorry. Garth Ennis did the 1995 one-shot special, Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. I would like to revisit that one again. But, yes, every single superhero and supervillain on Earth is killed by the Punisher. Wonderful. All right, synopsis time. Welcome back, Frank. And hey, let's see. By the way, it's Carolina, son of a Carolina.
We did several things wrong with that.
Oh, we did plenty wrong. Not only did we get the name wrong, but then we discussed They Might Be Giants, and we got the wrong show, Ronnie Adams.
Yeah, we did.
We thought it was Animaniacs. And
you got the wrong show.
Oh, shut up. I didn't hear you chiming in and saying, no, correction. It is actually Tiny Toons.
I don't want to get fired.
Okay. All right. All right.
No, for real.
Oh God, that's right. It was
Tiny Toons, yeah.
It was Tiny Toons at the Particle Man. That's right.
Yeah. Josh Calandros.
Professional wrestlers, didn't they?
Yes. I remember Particle Man, the video for it, they were like beating the shit out of Plucky Duck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right, here we go.
I feel sheepish now.
Well, it's not like Source Material is not known for dispensing misinformation like every single episode.
And it's what do we say? The Church of the
Gibborim.
Gibborim. Gibborim.
Gibborim. Well, you know what? I would. Continuing on. The synopsis. The synopsis for Welcome Back, Frank. All right, so this 12-issue series focuses on the Punisher and his one-man mission to destroy a New York crime organization headed by a salty old biddy by the name of Ma. I'm going to call it Nucci. G silent? You guys agree?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Italian, so yeah.
Ma Nucci. The book shows how Frank carves up anyone affiliated with Ma Nucci, whittling the Nucci gang down to mere single digits. This is the Marvel Knights series, so there is brutality and fistfuls here. We are also shown Frank's alter ego, John Smith, currently living in a small apartment complex with neighboring tenants, the larger-than-life Mr. Bumpo, the quiet Joan, and the excitable Spacker Dave. I really wish I had the opportunity to go back and just kind of figure out why Spacker Dave. I don't know. If you guys have any, I might just, while you guys are talking, try and figure out what the hell Spacker Dave is, what a Spacker is. Anybody?
I don't think Spacker Dave knows what Spacker Dave
is. The excitable Spacker Dave. After receiving a tip on where the Punisher is staying, things get interesting when Ma hires a hitman known only as the Russian to take Frank out. There is also the Punisher Task Force, a two-person crew consisting of Detective Soap and Lieutenant Molly Van Richthofen, a third person who, unfortunately, rest in peace, psychologist Bud Plug, hung himself in Detective
with his own tie. I mean, it's
sad.
Yeah, and really speaks wonders about that tie company. Whoever created that tie.
So this this two-person crew is attempting to turn their luck around by arresting the Punisher and /or Ma Nucci, whoever is left after they tear each other apart. To make matters worse, there are a few men that have been inspired by the actions of the Punisher and have been dispensing their own brand of justice throughout the city, further blurring the line on the ethics of vigilantism. It's gritty storytelling and over-the-top violence as only Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon can bring you in Welcome Back, Frank. So there you go. That would have been, if Marvel came to me and said, write the back of that first trade, give them a blurb. There's my blurb. So I guess we'll start out here. Let's talk characters. My first on the list here to talk about is Detective Soap and the Punisher Task Force and Lieutenant Molly Van Richthofen. Ronnie, I mean, we already talked about Bud Plug and his unfortunate ending. What do you think of Detective Soap and Molly here? This team of people, these down on their luck career cops trying to make their way. What do you think?
If there ever was a team that was meant to fail, it was this one.
Yeah.
They just love their hearts. They were given this assignment to fail. I mean, there was no there was no success.
Well, dude, I just to hop in here.
That's expected out of this team.
Yeah, they're expected to get the Punisher, and they're expected to get one of the top crime bosses of New York, and they're not exactly. I don't think they're expecting results.
Of the year either.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, Molly seems a little more savvy than Soap. Soap is just kind of your stereotypical what's the word I'm looking for? Idiot. Really. I mean, he's not ambitious in the least. He wants to do good, but I think he wants everything. It seemed to me like he wanted everything, kind of handed to him. He didn't expect to get this particular assignment, and this assignment is not how he sees his future in law enforcement going, which I would have to agree. I mean, if you're gonna get ahead, trying to capture the Punisher is not one of the things that you want to try to do. One, he's kind of the Punisher is almost a hero to some cops and some people. or he is a hero to some, to some cops and some people, because he does what they want to do anyway. They want to get rid of, all the criminals that are just put out back out on the street. So, he ends them for good. He puts finally puts a final end to it. So they, he's not going to make any fans by doing this, by trying to take down the guy that's, that's taking the trash out.
Mm-hmm. Mark, what do you think of this 2-person task force? What's your thoughts?
As Ronnie was saying, they were meant to fail. They were put together because, first of all, I think it goes without saying, or maybe it needs to be said, that the Nucci family is in bed with the police.
Mm.
So they're
in bed with everybody.
Yeah, they have. So I think there's like a token effort to try to do something with the Nucci family, but nobody wants to upset the apple cart. So they put. I can't remember where I've seen a similar plot like this, but it was The Wire. Duh.
I knew it was coming.
Very similar situation with everyone drink. There was a similar situation with The Wire where they had just promoted one of the narcotics detectives to homicide, and a witness had been killed, and presumably they thought the witness was killed because they were witnessing, and they didn't want that story to come out before the Democratic primary election, because it would look badly on the incumbent mayor. So they put her on it, figuring, well, she's new and she's going to fuck this up. She's not going to solve it. So that'll be fine. And I remember she finds out about it and like flips the fuck out. And she ends up solving the case. And it turns out it was an accident. Someone who was shooting potatoes and a bullet ricocheted and accidentally killed the guy.
Shoot.
Well, I guess I'll have to watch that.
Well, that happened. Spoiler.
In any case, so it's a similar thing here. He basically he's a bungler, and he gets put on this case because they got to show that they're doing something, but they don't really want the case solved. And in this similar situation with the Punisher, where you have the cops who are like, you know what, he's doing a job that we all wish we could do. We wish we could just fucking shoot criminals in the street, and not have to worry about the law. So my only issue with that is you're supposed to. I feel like you're supposed to want to root for him, and I don't see a whole lot here to root for. Like I don't know. I enjoyed their part of the story, but I didn't necessarily see him as a sympathetic character.
Did you feel that their part of the story was necessary?
Yeah, because if it was just the Punisher shooting people, that wouldn't be very interesting. Now, would it?
Okay. I can see what you're saying. Ronnie, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just being silly.
Well, yeah, they really, man, I don't know. The only thing that we kind of see with these guys is just how the Punisher affects their lives. They don't really do anything they don't get involved with the Punisher at all until the very, very end, where they pretty much just reap the benefits of what the Punisher has sown.
Hey, look, they're doing surveillance. Surveillance is hard work. Let me tell you about The Wire. So, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh dear.
Oh man.
Well, you don't want the cops. I don't care who you are. You don't want the cops to catch up with Frank. So it works out that these guys, this couple, one's inept. The other one seems like she's got ulterior motives anyway. No matter what.
I don't know if she ever takes her sunglasses off.
She doesn't. That's
It's
what
the middle of
makes
the night
it
and stake out in the dark car. She's still got her damn sunglasses on.
And so,
Well, the future's so bright, she's got to wear shades.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, waka waka.
waka waka. But
The gag
so
reel is
what-
actually going to be a gag reel from people gag reflexing from these bad jokes.
I know.
Hey, I just made it.
But one's got, one's one's inept, one's got ulterior motives that you don't really, they're not going to catch up with him anyway. So you can still enjoy their storyline, knowing that they're going to get maybe close to Frank, maybe close to the Punisher, but not really, there's no way they're going to catch him. And if they do, it's going to be a bad day for them. He's not going to kill him or anything, but he's going to make them wish they were dead.
Yeah, that's
So, but you look at this team. Soap is just infatuated with Molly, and he just wants to ask her out all the time. But he finds out that she's not into guys, so he's like, "Oh, well, crap." He's taking her out to a crappy.
That's about the time where he starts crying. And
Yeah,
like, oh, geez, man, come on, get it together, dude.
This guy's hopeless, man.
He is.
And he made his first he made his first partner commit suicide. I mean, his partner was a psychologist.
You can't make anyone commit suicide. He clearly wrote that in that letter, that he was on his last legs, and that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. But ultimately, as somebody who works in the field and deals with this on an ongoing basis, you can't make somebody want to kill themselves. They have to be there already. I put no guilt. I understand the character felt guilt about it, and certainly people pointed at him, but they're all wrong. That guy was already over the edge.
Yeah, well, with a name like
done
Bud,
now.
if you had a name like Bud Plug, all right, that
He didn't make
was
him commit suicide. He helped him along.
No,
warning.
you can't help somebody along unless you literally hand them the instrument.
Dear God, Mark, let me have this.
Absolutely not. It goes against my entire job. You know how many people? That come into the jail on an ongoing basis, who threaten suicide? No, there is no making anyone commit suicide. God damn it.
Well, now that Mark has sucked the fun out of this podcast, anyway,
You want me to think they might be
it's
giants?
literal, but so we find out that Bud Plug is on his last legs, and that what Soap has said has set him off. Can I say that?
Sure.
And can I
So
just say,
He took what Soap said to heart, and he was like, "Well, if this loser doesn't like me, then I might as well just go ahead and end it all."
okay. Well, I don't recall anything being horribly
That's
offensive.
depressing.
Well, I can't recall anything horribly offensive that Soap said to him, though.
He called his entire work mumbo jumbo.
Okay.
Well, he ain't wrong.
Well, he ain't wrong, but why do you hate me?
There is.
What the hell?
Well,
What did
okay.
I do?
The whole Suicide by Bud Plug is just a good.
Suicide by Bud Plug.
That's
there's
not
so
a
many
verb.
things wrong with
That's
that
a person's
sentence.
name. That's not a verb. Not Suicide by Bud Plug, but Suicide by Bud Plug. That is a good example of. That's a good example of Garth Ennis and his dark style of writing. I mean, there are some dark moments that happen in this book. And I thought when I was reading this, I didn't see that coming. What was that? Like 2 issues in? And Bud Plug's dead? And I'm
Bud
like,
didn't last long.
no, he didn't. He did
Bud
not.
was not long for this earth.
And there are some moments that throughout this book, and I know as we go on and talk about some of the characters here, again, it just continues it skirts that line with all. Why should I be laughing at that? Because that guy died.
Yeah, right.
Should I laugh at the suicide? Why not?
That's awful funny.
That's why I said, as fun as a Punisher story can be, because you're like, oh, look at that. His name was Bud, and
his name was Bud Plug.
His Bud Plug, and he obviously didn't like life very much. Oh no, what have I done? I'm laughing at this. There's a special place for me now.
Now, they at the end of the story reap the benefits. Like I said, that the Punisher had some where Punisher leaves, and I think he runs into them on his way out after, completing his mission. But he runs into them and gives them some files that pretty much make their career. I think Detective Soap becomes mayor. I think, and then
commissioner
is a commissioner. Maybe that's what it is. And then Molly becomes like she furthers her rank, whatever she ends up being. I don't recall, but I know at the end of this story they're sitting in better positions than they were. Instead of being instead of being the losers that they were, because of what the Punisher has done and the Punisher's involvement in their lives, they're reaping the benefits.
Blackmail material. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on. Let me go to our next. Let's talk about Frank Castle's apartment friends. We got Mr. Bumpo, Spacker Dave, and Joan. I mean, I don't care what you guys want to talk about here. They were kind of like side characters. They do become pretty important towards the middle, near the end of the series, when
Bumpo became very important.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because each one of them became interactive. Go ahead.
This whole plot with the apartment people was directly ripped out of this book and put in the Thomas Jane Punisher movie.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
almost I think to the detail.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie. Then, man. So, well, what do you think, Mark, of our apartment friends here, Mr. Bumpo, Joan, and Spacker Dave?
I mean, look.
That's a new one.
There has been, first off, before you go any further, there have been three sheets to the wind. There have been like 2 or 3 shirt ideas I've had. If source material ever becomes popular enough to where I want to do a shirt, number 1 would probably be, all right, that would be just the shirt. It would say, and then have ... source material. The second one would be nothing turned into a building, source material.
Yeah, we say that a lot on this show, especially this year.
All right, go ahead and continue. Sorry.
And the other one has to be blank penis. No, goat blank.
Goat blank.
Goat blank, Ronnie's favorite band.
No.
I would wear that shirt. I would wear a shirt that said goat blank, Ronnie loves it.
Oh.
Make that happen, Jesse. All right.
No.
Oh, come on. Wear it to a con. It'll be fine.
Brilliant.
Anyway, without some sense of humanity, what is Punisher but like a crazy murderer? I think having him interact with some norms, like if you think about Batman, right? When Batman is in the cape and cowl, unless he's got one of his sidekicks around him, he's not really interacting with anybody. He's doing his detective work. He's punching ninjas. He's doing what he's got to do. The only sense of humanity you get from Batman is when he's Bruce Wayne. But then even as Bruce Wayne, that's all an act that he's doing to cover for the fact that he's a psychotic, murderer who's running around in the streets hitting people with ninja stars.
He's not a murderer.
It depends on which iteration.
Yeah, true.
So I think with the Punisher, who doesn't necessarily have an alter ego or anything like that, he doesn't have a mask. You have to, in order for him to be somewhat relatable. I think you need to give him characters to interact with that show his humanity. Without any kind of humanity, Punisher isn't somebody that we should be rooting for. He's just a murderer.
Yeah.
But at least here, he's kind to Joan. He's kind to Spacker Dave. He's kind to Blimpy or Bumpo or Dumbo, whatever the hell his name is.
Bumpo.
That's a child seat. That's what a Bumpo is. Did you ever have Bumpos in the house there, Jesse?
I sure did. Yeah. And then the warnings went around. Don't put your kids in these. Kids falling flat on their face.
I think one of my
kids. That's not funny, but it is.
One of my kids fucking backbridged out of it. It was great. He fucking backbridged out of his Bumpo and just brought the whole thing on himself. Well, it's not like he did it off the table or anything. He was on the floor. But anyway,
that's wow.
What? My child was very limber. Anyway,
all right.
Well, that wasn't supposed to be awkward, but somehow ended up awkward.
I don't know. I don't know what you perverts think I was implying, but
I didn't know where to go after that. I was just like, all right.
I mean, yeah, that's not what I meant, you weirdo. I just didn't know where to go from there. You know what? I'm done. I'm hanging up.
No, you're not.
I know.
So, okay, to take it back to the humanizing part of this too, with his apartment friends, they get involved. Not in the way they're supposed to. Of course, they are going after the Punisher after they get that tip, and they can't find him, so they start inquiring, in quotes, with the residents of the apartment, including one Spacker Dave, who has all of his piercings.
Poor Dave.
My gosh, all of the piercings on his face removed as a means of torture, but yeah, that also fuels the, oh man, I cannot wait for the Punisher to get his revenge, get his, justice for what occurred there. Mark, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Can we talk about the best part of the book? I don't know what you're doing, but you're ignoring the best part of this book.
Okay.
The fact that he used Bumpo as a weapon?
No.
Oh.
The Punisher punching out a polar bear.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Why don't we? Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, wait, hold on to it, because when we talk Monucci, I think we could bring that up. Okay, I've got my methods here. Hold on to that. We will bring that up. We're going to go through the characters.
I'm really excited to talk about.
I want to talk about punching polar bears.
Does it have to be right now? Because if so, I'll make an exception. I'll do it right now. Let's do it. You ready?
No. Okay. No. We'll do this in the order that you want. But if we don't talk about punching polar bears, this podcast sucks.
Okay.
Mark is not a happy man.
All right, Mark. All right, Ronnie. Any additions to our three faves from the apartment here? Mr. Bumpo, Spacker Dave, Joan.
Mr. Bumpo. I mean, like you said, they could have been any characters, really. I mean, but you have to show the humanity of the Punisher, and I think that's what the new show does really well. It shows the human side of Frank, because he's not just a cold-blooded killing machine. He wants revenge, and he feels like the only way he can get his revenge is to kill everyone. So everybody that does bad, in the comic books, he doesn't. His family was caught in a firefight between two warring mob factions. It's been changed over time and everything like that. Hits and so they were caught in the crossfire. So there was no real direction for that than you bad, bullet to your head. So which of course opens the door for Punisher to he was what was the year he debuted? 1970.
I want to say 76 or 77. I could be off there.
So you've got him coming right off the Vietnam War. military service. He knows his stuff. He knows his weapons. He knows how to fight. So it's been pushed, in some storylines, he's still, a Vietnam vet. He's just getting up there in age, but he's still in amazing, shape, and his vendetta keeps him young, I guess. And then, it's been pushed to, he served in, in the Middle East, in Iraq and, Afghanistan, things like that. So there's only one way for him to get his vengeance, and that is to eliminate all the criminals. But there is something, buried underneath those scars, buried underneath that tragedy. There is a man who was once a loving husband and father. And in some storylines, he was trained to be a priest.
I was a man once.
Before he got married and, went into the service. So there is a human aspect to him. Otherwise, he wouldn't really be doing what he was doing. He let that human side, that pain, that anguish come out, and now it's buried by sheer rage. So in the new, not to veer away from the comic, but in the new series, it shows him playing, a game of pass with a kid. And he's encouraging him. He's like, "Yeah, that a boy." And I'm like, man, that does such a good job of showing that he is not only just a mindless murder machine.
Yeah.
He's a human being. So that's what you need these three characters for, is to show that he does have a human side to him that cares about other people and cares if they, get hurt or not.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Holy, Mr. Payback, and Elite. All right. The three vigilantes that have been inspired to go about dispensing their brand of justice in their neighborhoods or amongst the world. Mark, these three psychos, what do you think of this arc here that they showed? Do you have an idea of what the purpose was, or what's your thoughts?
Sure. Look, again, if you just make this the Punisher shoots people, especially with the ease at which he cuts through the Nucci family, it would not be a great book. But I do enjoy the idea of, look, let's go back to Batman for a second. Okay, so there's a guy out there who dresses up as a bat, and he's punching people and throwing ninja stars and taking out crazy criminals. Okay, so you're inspired by this, right? You're like, I want to be just like Batman. Think about like what happens in The Dark Knight. There were people that were inspired by Batman, and they too took to the streets. And as he reminded them, he's not wearing hockey pads. It would be very hard to be Batman. It is not hard to be the Punisher. You need one thing to be the Punisher: a gun, and and just walk the streets and shoot people. That's the Punisher. So I love the idea that just a simple concept of, I'm a guy with a gun and I'm going to shoot bad people, inspires three. I mean, when you think about those of us who deal with the worst elements in our society, yeah, some of us are going to be driven a little crazy. Some of us are not going to be able to take it anymore. And so I love the idea that you have this priest who, like, people are, to commit these horrendous acts of violence on their fellow man. And he was like, okay, now absolve me. Like, that's kind of not the point of Catholic absolution, to like be the worst you can possibly be and then get like a freebie pass and get to go do it all over again. That's really not how confession's supposed to work. And I'm a Jew and I know that. I love the idea that he just fucking snaps and starts taking an axe to these people. That's great. And then you have Mr. Payback. Kind of reminded me of Dogma, the two angels, kicking in the door. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Dogma before, but they're in the corporate office, and it's like, one of them's like a pedophile and all this stuff, and then at the end of it, it's like, like, you've done nothing wrong, but you didn't say "God bless you" when I sneezed. No, don't shoot her. Let her go. So I love the idea, especially now. I think the idea of Mr. Payback resonates really well with our current society. When you consider like how many people would love to just kick open a door and shoot fucking, this is going to be a dated reference, but I can't think of a more modern one. Enron, kick open the door and shoot everybody at Enron, who ran that company right in the face. This is all on our worst days and our worst, darkest moments, people we can picture ourselves being. And even the elite, I love the idea of get out of here, you're going to lower the tone. So he puts a hand grenade in a hot dog cart. God damn it, we paid a lot of money to live here. Don't lower the tone. It's fucking perfect. And later on, when they can't decide on the unifying theory to get themselves together, they just know the Punisher needs to lead them. But like, the elite and Mr. Payback keep fighting because it's the usual. It's the bourgeoisie,
Yep.
at odds with the worker and all of that. It's fucking fantastic.
There was a point where
You're working class, get away from me.
There was a point where I was reading and I thought I missed an issue because the next issue, those guys are still sitting at the table, but they're like, we've been coming back here for a week talking about this. I'm like, oh crap, if I missed any like funny discussion or something like that, because they still couldn't get their shit figured out after a week of how they were going to go about becoming a team. And they just couldn't get along. I thought that was pretty funny. But let me ask you real quick. Did you pick up on the, I don't want to say it's subtle because I think it's more in the face, but the commentary about justice here? Because I don't know if you identified much of what Mr. Payback was saying, but I mean, yeah, you go in there and these people are responsible for 90% of that stuff that he was spouting off. Now, what made him different from Frank Castle? What was the difference there? I mean, other than them just not picking up a weapon and shooting people, Castle seems to go after the more hardened criminal, the people that are killers for sure. But there's that sense of injustice where these people are getting off scot-free, even though they have committed all these horrible, horrible crimes and resulted in probably way more damage to families and friends than actually goes noticed. Ronnie, did you see that there? Can you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the idea of big corporate creating all these problems and then getting away with it. It kind of reminds me of you ever seen the movie The Rainmaker?
I don't think I have.
It's Matt Damon, where this kid is he just gets out of trying to pass the bar, and he takes on the one big case where he's fighting for this kid to insurance, basically.
Okay.
And, the insurance company said, yeah, we'll cover you. They ended up not covering him, and he wins the case. And, they call him the Rainmaker because he made it rain with that one case at one time. Mm-hmm. And so, he took on the big, the big guns and came out, the little man actually won. And it's that whole thing taken to the extreme. We're sick and tired of being, walked on. So we're going to take it into our own hands and, murder you all. Because that's that's what he wants. Is he wants to kill them. So I get it. I get what they were doing, where they were going with it. Do I agree with it? Not really, but
Well, Mark, what separates these guys from the Punisher? You tell me.
Wow.
I mean, the Punisher walks in at the end and shoots all three of them, doesn't he?
I think in the Punisher's mind, he says it right there. What's the line at the very end? Like you're a psycho, you're this, you're that. What's the whole thing?
I don't remember what it said. I just know the final panel is, if I remember correctly, is him looking at him and just opening fire, and then he says no.
Yep, I got it. Hang on. Okay. You're a lunatic, you're a Nazi, and and does the name Maria Lopez mean anything to you? And it's kind of, Maria Lopez was a cleaner at the Worldwide Investment Building. She died when one of your bullets went through the wall of the boardroom. She's one of 4 innocent people who've been cut down in your crossfire in the crossfire of your little crusade, just because you couldn't be bothered to plan properly. So I think that what he's trying to draw delineation here is between the fact that, Frank Castle very much knows what he's doing. He's not a lunatic. He hasn't snapped as such, at least in his mind.
Yeah, I was going to say, I take argument with that. I say he snapped a long time ago.
I'm saying in his mind, he's not reacting out of anger the way the priest is. And he looks at Elite and says, you're a Nazi. And again, he's not telling anyone how to live their life. He's not saying you have to die, because he's not making a sort of cultural judgment on someone.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, I think the Punisher is making a point that he goes out of his way to make sure innocent people don't die. And this guy just sprayed an entire room and didn't really take into consideration who else might be around when that happened.
This is a point of good storytelling, in my opinion, because this is where it has me going, okay, look, yeah, all that's fine and good with what the Punisher's trying to say, but we just witnessed this gang, Monucci's gang, show up at his apartment complex and torture one of his friends. And that was clearly because the Punisher is the Punisher. All right. Mm-hmm. He can sit there and say that, well, yeah, that was, I don't know how he could justify that. It's almost just as similar as that one random person catching a bullet from the Mr. Payback's gun.
No, I completely disagree.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that too.
Go right ahead.
The Punisher didn't. I will. The Punisher didn't ask for those friendships. He didn't go out of his way to make them. He didn't ask for anything for them. They all. I mean, Joan kept bringing him cookies. Joan clearly wanted to connect with him in some way. Spacker Dave went out of his way to say hello to him, and when he, the only one that really didn't have a part to play in this was Bumpo, but Spacker Dave and Joan latched on to the Punisher, and they nursed him back to health. They reached out to him. He did not reach out to them. I mean, when he gets shot up, he goes into the apartment, and he would have just died on the ground if he had his druthers. They chose to link themselves to him, and therefore they took on the threat of possibly being drawn into his world, and exactly what happened to Spacker Dave happened.
Now here's my argument against that. Because the Punisher is in the presence of anybody, the blame lies on his shoulders, I guess you could say, because he decided to take up residence. He knew he was putting those people in danger just by being there. If somebody knew who he was, whether he interacted with them or not.
Where was he supposed to live? In the street?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's why, again, I think this is a good piece of storytelling, because it makes you question as to what the hell is this guy supposed to do? Not only that, but, is this guy...
Okay, I don't think he thought out their friendships. I see what you're saying, but I mean, I'm sure if the Punisher, look, not everybody can be a billionaire and have a cave underneath their house. He had to.
I know, but he's knows.
Just a dude.
He knows in his one-man war of crime, he's a marked man. No matter what, somebody's probably going to figure something out. He can be as quiet as he wants to be, but his best bet is to live under a bridge, man. Stay away from the public as best as possible. But no, instead he goes into this. He goes and decides to live at some random apartment complex. That's the risk that he runs, which makes me think. I honestly think that when he lays those guys out, I don't see much of a difference between the Punisher and those three guys, other than these guys all thought that they were I want to say dispensing their brand of justice. No, I want to use a different term. These guys all thought that they were dispensing their brand of justice, and they had they thought.
We use a different term. Only the exact same one.
These guys all thought that they were right in their own mind. The Punisher is the same way. He believes that what he is doing, he is right in his own mind, and he is right for doing that. But
I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing the thing with the friendships. Again, I'm gonna stay on this point. He didn't ask any of those people for their friendship.
He didn't.
He didn't seek them out. I mean, if anything, he tried to ignore them.
Yeah.
And they all kept coming to him. And I feel like there comes a point where, where Joan or Spack or Dave made a choice, and they made a choice to continue to associate him, even when they knew what he was.
I do want to point out here that throughout the whole book, except for like the last issue, Punisher just calls Dave or Spack or Dave by Dave. But we've made sure that this whole podcast, we reference Spack or Dave as Spack or Dave. He would be proud. Okay, all right. Well, that's Ronnie. Unless you have something to add, we can move on. We've got polar bears to talk about.
I was gonna say we have gone an hour into this podcast, and I have not been able to talk about punching a polar bear.
It's almost like, okay, I move into my house, but somebody doesn't like me. So because I moved into this neighborhood, they want to get at me, so they burn my other houses, burn my neighbors' houses down. Is that my fault?
No, you're not responsible for what other people do with their crazy decisions.
It's kind of the same thing. He needs a place to live. He finds the most nondescript place he can. It's a dump. For all we know, they're squatting. We don't know what their financial situations are, if they can afford anything else. So we don't really know what's going on with that, other than the fact that he just wanted a place to live. So it's not his fault that the Russian and all these mob guys come storming into his apartment and start pulling nose rings out. It's really not his fault.
So real quick, do you guys a little bit of trivia? Who plays the Russian in the Punisher movie?
Kevin Nash.
Very good.
Yeah, he kept that hairdo for a little bit too throughout the WWE, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Wasn't that great?
No, it was kind of awful. But he also did not speak, did not have any, in the comic book, the Russian was very vocal.
Oh yeah.
But he couldn't do a convincing Russian accent. So they were like, you know what? Let's just make you the strong silent type. And then he comes out.
I wish they had spent some money and gotten Arnold Schwarzenegger to do a.
Oh man,
because that was the part he was born to play.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, only they should have had him do it as, instead of the Russian, they should have had him do it as Mr. Freeze and just do all of his lines from Batman and Robin. Hey, Punisher, chill out.
Chill out.
Chill out. Hit him with a chair. Take a seat.
But and then in John Wick, he comes up and he actually has a convincing Russian accent.
Oh, that's who? Nash?
Nash. John Wick.
He was the guard at the door.
I do not remember that.
John Wick puts a gun to the back of his head, and he's like, evening, Mr. Wick, or Mr. Vic, and he said, hey, you're looking good. Have you lost weight? And he's like, I've lost 50 pounds. He's like, keep it up. Why don't you take the night off? And he goes, thank you. He just walks off.
I think I do remember that now.
Wow.
That was Kevin Nash. And you're welcome.
Yes, indeed. Let's rock and roll. We're heading toward Ma Nucci. All right. Okay, Ronnie, what do you think of Ma here? Ma Nucci and her.
Nucci is a bad motherfucker.
She's just the worst, man.
She's the best.
She's awesome because she is the worst. And,
she has no arms, no legs. Was
now, wait.
mauled by a
no scalp.
You're proceeds to throw herself out of a burning house and gnaw on the Punisher's ankles.
Right?
She's the best villain in the Marvel universe ever.
I have a picture. Let me see if I can share it with you guys here. I'll try and find it. But it is her flying through the air going, I'm going to get you, Punisher.
That's the best. Why has that not shown up in a Punisher film?
She's so filled with rage and hatred that she's going to chew on his ankle.
She's talking the whole time while she's trying to
get a live action adaptation of the entire Welcome Back Frank book, and just to see, I want to see, like, I don't know who's still alive. Is Rhea Perlman still alive? Could we get her as Ma Nucci?
Oh, I think she's dead.
Oh, damn it!
No, I'm looking that up right now.
How about Estelle Getty?
I think she's dead for sure.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
For sure.
For sure. It's been a while. I think that's been a long time.
Is Cher still alive?
Rhea Perlman is still alive. She is still an active actress, by the way. Age 69 years old.
Good for her. I need Rhea Perlman with no arms and no legs being thrown out a fucking burning window. Have gnaw
John Bernthal's.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
Oh my gosh, that whole scene is so great where she does that and then he just kind of kicks her ass back into the fire. She goes flying into the fire.
Get off me! Get off me! Thinking.
Okay, either Rhea Perlman or Cher. Can we see? Let's be serious for a moment. Cher as Ma Nucci. Think of like Cher from Moonstruck. Huh?
Oh wow!
Oh, I love that movie.
Snap out of it, yo, Punisher, you. I can't. Oh, it'd be beautiful. Okay, now chop off Cher's arms and legs, and then have her think you can turn back time while she's flying out of a burning window.
Oh, that's great stuff.
That's Oscar material right there.
Now let's talk about how
just on his leg.
Kevin Feige, I need Josh Bernthal to punch a polar bear and for Cher to come flying out of a window. Make it happen.
Oh, Josh Bernthal.
John Bernthal. John Bernthal. What is it with you and names, man?
That's his brother.
John Stewart.
I need John Stewart. Oh, good. All right, now hold on. All right, let's talk about. We have to talk about how Ma lost her legs, because if we don't, we're not going to be able to talk about polar bears. Mark, you have the floor, sir.
So, the Punisher is running through the zoo, and he ends up in a polar bear exhibit.
I think there's some important setup we're skipping too.
Okay, you do the setup.
Doesn't he chuck a claymore? It says front towards enemy, and it just lands in their laps, and he blows them up, and then attacks some with a flamethrower. And the only thing he's got left is a pistol, and he's like, "Well, we'll have to make this work." I'm like, you used an explosive that's supposed to sit still,
and you threw it.
And you
I know that was amazing.
Somebody, and we would say, "Oh, I guess we can try to make this work." Please. So he runs off because he's like, he's down to a pistol, and he takes refuge in a zoo, and
the kills throughout the zoo are so cool.
So he ties it up to where a boa constrictor eats one of the guys, and then the other guy, one of the other men throws up because he looks and sees like all this. Or no, that was when he drops one of them in a freaking piranha tank, and they throw up looking at him. And can I just say that that Garth Ennis has the greatest throw up noise ever written in a comic book? Black.
Wonderful.
And then so he says, "Hey, what else can we do to absolutely decimate all of these, all these men? Hey, let's jump in a bear pit." And he looks at them, and they're polar bears, and he says, "Hey, they're sweet, cuddly, and docile. This won't do." And straight left hooks one of them, and just takes the bear off, and then runs from him, and he jumps. He uses one of Manucci's men as a springboard. And the other one turns around and goes,
right there. I love that because they don't know what the fuck's he doing. He just
what's he doing? Where's he going? And one guy just looks back and goes, "Huh, it's bears."
And he has a big old smile on his face too, which is just hilarious.
He's like, well, what else can you do? I mean, it's bears.
Okay. Can we talk about the face that the bear makes when the Punisher hits him?
It's the epitome of confusion.
That bear is confused and mortified.
That man just punched me. I'm a bear, and that man just punched me in the face. What is happening?
That bear does not know what's going on right now.
What you are seeing right here is actually when me and Benjamin sat down and talked about Steve Dillon's career, we found a website that listed, I think, like 10 to 15 great panels that Steve Dillon had done. And the Bears was one of them on the list. It was amazing.
I need that tattoo across my back.
Tattoo that look at that bear. Imagine in quotation marks. It's bears.
I mean, dude, if you were a comic book artist and a guy come to you and said, "Okay, I want you to draw the Punisher." Okay, now follow me here.
Stay with me, okay, Steve? All right.
Here's what's going to happen.
Punch this bear.
Frank is going to punch. All right, get ready. A polar bear in the face, and you have to put it to paper. I mean, just a wonderful job.
He honestly probably looked in the mirror at that moment and just drew his own face.
He's like, what?
What is happening? What have you asked me to do?
This is honestly the high point of this whole book.
It is, dude.
It really is.
When we look back at this series, there's like 3 things that we'll remember: the Russian, the polar bear, and Manucci. Go ahead.
Because I don't even think about, like, this shouldn't have been called Welcome Home, Frank. This should have been called Punisher Punches a Bear.
It like builds up to that. Issue 11. Here we go. He's in the zoo. They paced it wrong.
That should have been the end of it. Not kicking a limbless Manucci back into a house fire. Him punching a bear and it mauling everyone.
If I could turn back time, Punisher, I'd bite you in the ankles.
Well, okay, so we talked about the polar bear. Now, the polar bear, of course, gets angry and destroys the one springboard guy that Punisher uses, and then what we think happens is that the polar bear kills Ma, but in fact just makes her become a horribly disfigured paraplegic with no, quadriplegic, excuse me, quadriplegic, no arms, no legs, and I mean just disfigured. Thank goodness, the only thing that looks
limbless.
Yeah. Yeah, and she doesn't lose a step, just like we said.
No.
She continues.
She's bedridden.
She's bedridden, and like the one guy walks in there and says something that offends her, and she's like, "Hey, shoot that guy." Nobody's like taking her seriously. It's like, okay, now since you didn't shoot him, I want to have that guy shoot you. Okay, you're not going to shoot him. How about this guy? You shoot him, then shoot him, and then finally at the end of like 5 panels, 3 people are dead because nobody takes her seriously now. But that all changes, of course. But
She says, "All right, hey." You idiot, shoot your friend in the face. And he's like, no, but Ma, that's
dimwit.
Hey, dimwit,
Yeah, shoot dimwit number 2 in the face.
And he's like, but that's my cousin. And she's like, all right, dimwit number 3, shoot dimwit number 2, and then shoot dimwit number 5. Or number 1, number 5.
Talk about chapter 5 for just a second. This is after she's been mauled by a polar bear. Okay, and when she's in the hospital, in the first page of the first panel, what do you mean? How am I doing?
What do you mean? She's got a wig that looks exactly like her hair used to. And you pull it off, and there's 3 massive, like
claw marks. Yeah, I mean
claw marks down her skull. And then
hang on, I gotta read through this. I was only asking, Ma. I mean, I was trying to be polite, show a little concern. You dimwit. Shoot my brain damaged cousin in the face.
Yeah.
Ma'am, are you deaf or something? Kill cousin Stevie. Hey, now, Ma. Come on, Mrs. Nucci. You don't really want me to shoot him. I don't. Oh, of course I don't. Silly me. I forgot my employees know better than I do. Second dimwit. Kill first dimwit and my idiot cousin. Now. Me? No, meathead. I want Namor the Submariner to do it instead. Of course, you fucking idiot, you. I can't kill Joey, ma'am. Sorry, I can't kill Joey, ma'am. We've been buddies our entire lives. Ma'am, really, you can't be serious. Ma, please, wait a minute. I was only asking. I mean, sure, we're all real emotional right now. Hey, what do you mean? What are you doing? Mrs. Nucci, I'm sure he didn't intend no disrespect. Third dimwit. Kill second dimwit and his lifelong friend and my cousin Stevie. Ma, no, I'm blood. Hey, Mrs. Nucci, please reconsider. This is crazy, ma'am. I'm family. Really, please. So crazy. Bam, bam, bam. Good.
He's like, no, she's, yeah. Boom. She just kills all 3 of them. Like, yeah, we're done here.
She says, 10 days ago, I was fed to a pack of polar bears.
I was fed to them.
Oh, man. Now, I want everybody, if anybody is doing a drinking game for this particular episode, I think you're probably plastered if you decided to go with the drink every time the guys laugh at horrible disfigurement or death happen in the book. Because, again, we are laughing at something that is extremely, extremely dark. And another testament to Garth Ennis's writing here and what occurred. I mean, this is just so absurdly, it's just so absurd, but it's hilarious at the same time. So Ma Nucci, I mean, I think she deserves at least a place in the Hall of Fame on the Source Material podcast for being one of the most outrageous characters that we've had the opportunity to talk about. Whew. So we made it through polar bears. We made it through Ma Nucci. All right, let's talk about the Russian. I mean,
best Marvel villain in the history of Marvel villain. Better than Thanos.
All right, Mark Radulich, go ahead, sir.
What? No, I just want her to be. No, I just want her to be given her due. She's the greatest Marvel villain of all time.
Okay.
We need her to be in the next Avengers movie. We need. I want more Ma Nucci.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, if she's not in the Punisher series by next season, I'm going to riot.
Here's the thing. At the end, after credit scene, Thanos, after being defeated and upset about the Infinity Gauntlet, is talking to a shadowy figure on the screen.
It's freaking Manucci.
Let's reveal the mastermind behind it all.
Limbless Manucci.
She's like, Thanos, did you take care of them Avengers?
What kind of accent was that?
I don't know.
It wasn't
It
Italian.
was amazing, though.
All right, let's talk about the Russians. We're just about done here. I mean, I don't even know if we get to talk about our favorite scenes because we have talked about quite a few. But the Russian, Mark Ralich, the Russian. What do you think of the Russian?
The Russian was funny. I mean, the whole time I was doing Schwarzenegger in my head.
Oh yeah,
as he was, and I don't know how he didn't kill the Punisher.
I know.
I mean,
dude.
he hit a. Yeah,
Well,
no human being can take that kind of punishment.
You forgot about Frank's secret weapon, Mr. Bumpo.
I think, with the exception of Manucci, that Mr. Bumpo being used as a weapon is probably my favorite scene out of this, which begs, the question that begs to be asked is, what's wrong with me? Because of that, but it's just incredible because he's got the introduction to the Russian is there is this elite force of military that are planning to rush this house, and they've got their guns, they're ready to go, they're speaking the lingo, and they run in, and you just hear gunfire, screams, and
it's so funny because they get introduced like Delta Force or whatever it says, and it's all like, oh man, these guys haven't been in the Marvel universe before, have they? Oh my! They got the big old superhero emblem when the text comes out, and you're like, oh, yep. They don't last too long. They are done.
The last one was the guy ran out naked with a gun wrapped around him.
Yeah.
Like, what did this guy do? And it's the Russian. And he's pretty much invulnerable, except to heat. And I guess he has some low-level super strength because he wrapped a gun around somebody's, body. And so they're like, she's like, get me the Russian. And it's cool because it's another one of those that what I like about the series, on Netflix and certain stories like this is it is self-contained, but it stays very aware of the world around them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's obsessed with superheroes. He loves them. He loves Thor. He loves, he's talking about, I think he talks about Captain America and Thor, a few others. And he's obsessed with American culture too, because he likes Levi's and he wants to go buy many pairs of Levi jeans and all this, and then they're like, all right, go kill the Punisher. He's like, okay, no problem. And he goes and he just messes the Punisher up. It's almost scene for scene for in the movie with Thomas Jane, which Kevin Nash actually got stabbed in that movie.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, and he didn't want to lose his job. He didn't want to lose the part, so he didn't say anything until it was over. And they're like, oh, by the way, you probably need to stitch me up. And they're like, what happened? He's like, well, he jammed a blade in my shoulder. Oh, what? He's going against all odds here, and then when he throws a hot pizza that Mr. Bumpo has ordered into his face and it horribly scars him, he's like, hey, I'm onto something here, and then he just he gets better and puts him to the ground, grabs Mr. Bumpo and lays on him because Mr. Bumpo apparently weighs
a lot because he keeps breaking toilets in the comic book, and they're like, all right, Mr. Bumpo, this one, if you break this one, we don't know what we're going to do other than get you one made out of adamantium. So
and really, who hasn't broken a toilet?
I can honestly say I never have.
Well, and you're not living.
I guess not. Wow. So he grabs Mr. Bumpo and says, "All right, you know, I'm going to use your body mass to smother this man." And they just lay there. He goes, "How much longer? How much longer do we have?" He's like, "Just a little bit longer."
It's just, oh my gosh.
So
I mean,
morbid.
I want you to look at this. Okay, I'm sharing the screen right now. I'm sharing the panels right now, and you guys probably have them in front of you as well. Let me get back over here so I can present to everyone. Okay, now just look at that top panel. Okay, we have one man laying on the ground, a rather large man, and then Frank Castle, you know, on the back of this other guy. And then he says, "How long has it been?" "About 20 minutes. Let's give it another 10. So these guys have been laying in that same position for 30 minutes.
So let's give it another 10. Okie dokie.
You're the boss.
Oh, it's great. That's good stuff.
I don't want to be murdered by you, so I guess I'll just lay here.
It's just so funny. Could you imagine that being in the Punisher series? I mean,
that's the thing. You know, I've brought up Batman a couple of times, and what I really liked about this particular book is how not serious it takes itself.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on. There's some silly things happening here. Like we were having some fun there with Manucci, but I mean, but the whole thing with the polar bear and, you know, and then her launching herself out the window and biting his ankles, it got silly after a while.
Oh yeah.
But I loved every minute of it. And it's nice every once in a while to read something that is chock full of, you know, like Deadpool takes it to a degree that I don't think it needs to go. You know, Deadpool is like too silly. Mm-hmm. This was, if there could be such a thing, the right amount of silly.
Okay. I can feel you on that. Anything else you'd like to say about the Russian there, Ronnie, before Mark have his words on it?
No, it was just it's a deadly character that was still fun.
Yeah, let me characterize. Let me clarify that or add to that. How's that? I want to stop sharing this real quick, but I told you guys I went to a website called tvtropes.com, and my guess is the purpose of this site is they take a story and they will associate tropes that happen throughout the story. Okay. But one of them, and this is just paints the Russian to a T. The trope is, "And call him George." So then it proceeds to tell you what that trope is in the book. The Russian gives a mook a side hug, crushing him without even noticing.
Yeah, I forgot about that. He killed a guy. It's just,
he's all happy and everything. He's like, "Oh yeah, let's go," and he grabs one guy and just crushes the dude to death. But anyway, Mark, the Russian, sir, what else would you like to say before we move on and we'll get our final thoughts and all that stuff in here?
No, let's do final thoughts. I'm okay. I mean, the Russian was funny. The Russian, you know, for a killer and everything else. I mean, how do you not laugh at a soldier who's like running with the gun wrapped around his neck and he's covering up his genitalia and he's yelling out "mommy"?
Yeah.
The Russian. All right. And now we've talked about the Punisher quite a bit throughout here. Is there anything you guys would like to say about the character of the Punisher? I mean, this is, for myself, I'll just say that this is a Punisher that, you know, written by Garth Ennis is a lot different than the Punisher that I say a lot different. I mean, we still got killing. We've still got, but there's the added humor, and we've talked about and laughed about that all night. So this is a Punisher that I really didn't feel deviated too much from the norm. He was still with this one-man war against crime. But I love the sense of what we've already talked about, that sense of where is Frank crazy, or is it legitimate? Is his gripe legitimate, and his actions something that can be separated from people like Elite and the Holy? So, you know, that was what I think I took from when it comes to the Punisher himself and his character in here.
Well, can we talk about the most obvious thing about the Punisher that separates him from the Elite and the other ones? With everybody else, it was kind of a personal vendetta kind of a thing. I'm sorry. With everybody else, you know, you had the priest who snapped, and you had the Elite who just wanted to protect the the home value of his neighborhood, and you have Payback, who is, declaring war on, corporate interests and all of that. The Punisher was just out to take revenge for his family. He was avenging the loss of his wife and kids. I think that ultimately is the huge difference. I mean, maybe that isn't as meaningful to you guys, but like I said, I got the sense from the Punisher that this was a very personal thing. Like, like every one of those guys had an agenda. His only agenda was, my wife and children will not die in vain.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring this up here, Mark, and let you take off with it, and Ronnie, you can take off with it, and then we'll get into our final thoughts. Daredevil's appearance, Mark Radlich.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, because we danced around that. We've been laughing so hard. That's probably one of the most serious pieces in this whole book. What do you got to say about that, Mark?
Well, first of all, it showed up in season 2 of Daredevil.
That's right.
I think that's something that needs to be talked about. But other than that, the TV show actually did a really good job of discussing everything that happens in that scene, which is, here you are, you self-righteous people, and you make these judgments. Well, now I'm going to put you in that position, and Daredevil makes the decision to kill Frank Castle. It's like, it's very easy to say, I could never be a killer, until you're faced with that very proposition.
Yeah, and it's only weighted more with the fact that Matt Murdock, Daredevil, is a lawyer in his day job. So, he's got the law to abide by. So that just makes it even that
but
much
he's not
more
abiding by the law. He's a vigilante.
Okay.
Last time I checked, that's still against the law.
Yeah.
You can't take the law into your own hands. And I think that's what the Punisher's saying to him. It's like you and Spider-Man and all these other heroes are real big to tell me I can't take the law into my own hands. But what are you doing? And what would you do if it were your family?
Mm-hmm. Ronnie?
I think they sum it up best. Daredevil's there to stop him from killing a criminal, taking the sniper shot. And he sets Daredevil up. I mean, that's, he knows he can't beat him one-on-one, and hand-to-hand. So he sets up this sonic trap and knocks him out, and Daredevil wakes up, and he's got the gun taped to his hand. He's chained to a pole, and he's like, it's
a hot date.
And he said, Daredevil's, what's this? He said, one bullet, one shot, one chance to stop me from killing Dino Nucci. And that's who it was. It was Nucci. And he says, it's time for that choice you were telling me about. Because he tells him, you've always got choices. You can choose not to be the killer. And he says, you can't break loose in time. You haven't got the space to throw the gun. Telling him all this stuff, it's got to be a headshot. I'm wearing Kevlar. And he says, if you don't shoot, you've got a death on your conscience, a death you could have prevented. If you do shoot, you're a killer. And he says, and Daredevil says, what kind of choice is that? And Frank just looks back at him and says, the one I make every time I pull the trigger. The one I'm making now. And, and of course, Daredevil, goes into that, you got to be out of your mind. I'm not going to kill you. He deserves to be taken off the street legitimately. The system works. And, we've got to do it by the law. And he said, the thought of Dino Nucci living one more minute is enough to drive me insane. And then, Daredevil cocks the revolver, and even Frank's like, that's the spirit. And he makes the choice. He pulls the trigger to stop the Punisher, and there's no firing pin in the pistol.
That's a long night for Daredevil,
Yeah, it is.
It was represented so well in the series. Man, I love that part. I mean, I will tell you right now, I love the Punisher series standalone itself, but it's going to be hard to top that scene and those parts in Daredevil season 2 for me, because that represented so much of It helped you understand the Punisher's motives.
That's
it helped
what
you
I'm
understand exactly. It helped
He
you
gave
understand
Matt
where the
Murdock a taste of what he goes through every time he pulls the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those first 3 episodes that featured the Punisher before he got caught and ended up in prison and on trial and all that were the best parts of season 2. I remember saying that when we talked about it on TV Party Tonight, where like the Elektra parts. I mean, I wasn't as hard on Elektra as some people were, but I didn't think her story was all that interesting. The Punisher story was the best stuff. Jeffrey Bernthal is
You are just
he purposely did that shit.
Jehoshaphat Bernthal is fantastic.
Shut up.
It's not Jehoshaphat.
What? All right. Well, okay. I think let's just go ahead. We'll get in our final thoughts and plugs here. Ronnie, I'll start. I've been giving Mark the lead here for quite a while. Ronnie Adams, your final thoughts on this book as a whole?
As a whole, man, it's just I think it's a fantastic Punisher story. It displays a lot of humor, which we're not used to with the Punisher character. It does a very good job of showing you the choices that he makes and the human aspect behind this man, with the not roommates but
Neighbors.
The neighbors, yeah, thank you. So he does care about other people. He's not just this mindless killing machine. He doesn't want anybody else to get hurt. But it's nothing's going to sway him from doing his job.
Mm-hmm. Mark Radulich,
we're on a roll here between this and Runaways. Like, can we just not do any more source materials, because I'm afraid it's going to fuck up our streak.
Shut down.
Right?
No one.
Your show has been canceled.
Should have been canceled.
2 good books in a row. Obviously, something's going to conspire against us here later for sure.
So the next one up is Princess Leia. We'll see how that goes.
I don't think it'll be too bad.
Yeah, I don't think the universe collapses in the Star Wars books.
What?
Too much money to make for that shit to happen.
It's so true.
Syphilis doesn't destroy the Star Wars universe.
Syphilis is not coming for the Star Wars universe.
And thank God for that. No, I mean, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking about it. I was really excited about this show tonight. And I tell you, it was a breezy read. Like I killed this in one day.
Mm-hmm.
In like a couple hours. And like I said, I just tore right through it. It was an easy read. It was easy to follow what was happening. I laughed, I cried, I hurled. It's one of the best books we've done this year.
All right. Yeah, I can say that I'm glad I had the opportunity and the chance to read this along with you guys. Garth Ennis. I mean, Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon, there's that team of creators usually brings you some great stuff, especially when we're talking street level, I think. And even if it's not, I mean, Preacher dealt with angels, demons, all sorts of crazy stuff, but it kept it at this humorous, dark level that made you laugh and then feel guilty about it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's fun to see this. This story is 17 years old now. So
what?
Yeah, it's a good story, and it's held up. Been adapted into a show a couple years back. I mean, there's some great stuff here, and a movie. More than that. All right, let's get into plugs here. I mean, I definitely would recommend this to anybody who just wants to hop into the Punisher's mind. You know, one of the other things I want to talk about, or at least bring up, is the fact that, again, we didn't have to worry about Dark Side War, where there was just an overabundance of characters. We talked about them for a long time tonight, but really there's only 5 sets of people that we had to worry about: the police, Punisher, and like 3 or 4 villains. And
it wasn't a mosh pit full of dog vomit.
Exactly. Exactly. So
all that matters is Ma Nucci. Can we get a Ma Nucci book?
Ma Nucci.
You are like,
it's titled Ma Nucci.
Your obsession is amazing with and can I just say that all I can hear now is
I would totally read like a Ma Nucci book by Brian Michael Bendis.
Oh my goodness. I don't know about that. It's got to be written by Garth Ennis. I would hate to see what that's a character that I don't know if I want to see Bendis get a hold of and do what he wants to do with that.
Ma Nucci is a cosmic entity.
Oh no. Oh no.
We've gone too far.
Yeah. Well,
so what I'd like to see is Galactus show up in Brooklyn, and he gets a hold of Ma Nucci, who is legless and armless as per usual. And he turns Ma Nucci into his herald, and she becomes like a nagging wife to Galactus. Can we do that? That'd be fantastic. Galactus, you're too skinny. Manja. Galactus, eat this planet full of dimwits, eh?
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
No?
Plugs.
Why not?
Ronnie Adams. Let's get into plugs, man. What do you got coming up?
Ma Nucci is made of spaghetti. All right, go ahead.
What?
Oh.
What?
We need else like a what if story where Ma Nucci was her arms and legs were sustenance for Galactus.
What if Ma Nucci was made of spaghetti?
You're welcome.
Plugs, Ronnie Adams, please. I want to get out of here in like 10 minutes. My freaking cheeks are going to fall off, dude.
Screaming Boy Podcast is the name of my show. We talk anything pop culture, nerd culture. It's a lot of fun. We recently did an update on what Comic-Cons we've been to. Jesse and I did. That's out.
Is that ever
been
been
released.
My network?
Yes, that's my fault. That's my fault. I still got to get Ronnie's all 3 Screaming Boys together here sometime soon. 4. I got to get all the 4. Content drop to happen probably tomorrow night, so be prepared.
So we've got we had a lot of fun talking about that. The next show is going to be soon. We're going to collaborate our schedules and make sure that we're not that we can all be together. And I think we're going to talk a little bit of the Punisher series. And then we're not going to go crazy into it, but I do want to talk a little bit about the new Runaway series. The 3 episodes that are out.
Sounds fun.
And you can find us on just about any social media possible. Facebook, you look up Screaming Boy Podcast, we're on there. Please give us a like. Twitter, at Screaming Boy PR, give us a follow. Instagram, follow us on there. We've got a lot of great pictures from 3 different Comic-Cons that I've been to in the past. A lot of great cosplay that was happening there as well. And so give us a follow on Instagram. It's Screaming Boy Productions. So you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and right here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network.
All right. Very good. Mark Radulich, the schedule, sir.
All right. If you're listening to this live on YouTube, and really, why wouldn't you? Tomorrow night on Damn You Hollywood is our review of Coco. The latest hit from Pixar. It is inside out levels of fantastic. Take your children, take your wife, take your mistress, take your adopted 37-year-old daughter. It doesn't matter. Take somebody and go see Coco.
Don't put too much thought into it, Ronnie. Just let him go.
Okay.
It's an inside joke. Don't worry about it. It's me and somebody who isn't listening to the show.
I was going to say, who?
Well, that makes a lot.
I don't think either one of us know what you're talking
jokes
about.
that nobody gets.
One person,
One
person on Earth, possibly two people, would understand what I mean by it.
That's good podcast right there. Let's throw out references that nobody gets.
Not even a callback. Nope, no callback.
Nope.
I did the
inside joke.
The mosh pit dog vomit thing because we talked about that with Dark Side Warriors.
Yeah,
I got it.
I'm all right
exactly.
with that.
Yeah, nobody got your thing.
I don't understand.
I don't care.
Obviously.
All right.
Stop interrupting my podcast.
I don't know why I'm so passionate about this.
I don't know either. You're like, you don't have to get hot about
let him go. I said let him go.
I can't let this stand, Starcher.
That has to go. Just let it go.
Wednesday on the Metal Hammer of Doom is Ronnie Adams' favorite band, Cannibal Corpse.
Boo.
We're going to be reviewing the new album, Red Before Black. Next week, if you're listening to this on the Rattledge Broadcasting Network, tomorrow we'll be reviewing The Punisher on TV Party Tonight. And then on Wednesday, the December 6th, we'll be reviewing The Cavalera Conspiracy on the Metal Hammer of Doom, Psychosis. That's what we got going on.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, go give the Rattledge in Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. This show here, source material, this is 140 plus episodes. So there's got to be something out there that you probably want to hear us discuss. Best way to go about that, find a book that you'd like to read, see if it's something that we covered in the archive, read up, and then listen to the podcast. Because if you listen to us before you read the book, you might get some spoilers. So just be prepared. But either way,
awesome.
A listen's a listen, right, Ronnie Adams? I don't care if you listen to it before or after, one way or the other. Just listen. That's all I ask. And don't feel shy. Feedback's important. We don't hear anything from anybody. We'd love to hear from you. Go ahead. Let us know what you think of Mark Rattledge's out of nowhere, non-related. That. Whatever. See, I'm losing.
What the hell are you talking about?
His inside joke that nobody got. There we go. Okay. I can't wait to edit this part out. That's going to be fun.
Ronnie Adams.
All right.
Ronnie Adams. Save me, Ronnie Adams.
I saved no one.
Let's get out.
Hope.
Go give the Rattledge Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like. Make sure to keep an eye on blogtalkradio.com for all the great content that we have. That's wrestling. That's MMA. We talk video games. There's all sorts of great stuff on there. The Rattledge Broadcasting Network Facebook page. No. I'm ready to get out of here. You guys ready to get out of here?
Ronnie Adams.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Ronnie Adams. That's Mark Rattledge. I'm Jesse Starcher. Have a good evening. Bud plug.